Apathy won't save us. You pretending not to be angry won't save you. You hiding your rage won't save you. We need to alchemize our anger into medicine, love, kindness, justice, healing, which we do. You don't get kindness without anger. You don't get love without rage. They're all lovers. Rage is a lover. Anger is a lover, is a love emotion. It's not a negative. Anger is a love emotion because your anger loves you. When we feel angry when somebody wrongs us, right? We know that our anger loves us and our anger wants justice and righteousness. Our anger wants us to be honored and to be valued and seen. And when we are not those things or respected, right? Then our anger rises up because somebody's doing something wrong to me. So even like this, as I'm learning to like love myself more or learning how to love myself, there are inklings there that I do love myself. Even when I feel like I don't love myself. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because when you get angry when somebody treats you wrong, that's love. That's love. When somebody stands up for someone else, that is an act of love and care and kindness, right? But we need to alchemize our anger, not ignore it, not pretend it's not there, not look down on it. Use it for goodness. We are powerful. And they know that. They know that. That's why they don't want Black women to feel our rage, because they know that if we put our rage together, we're going to put that into medicine that heals the world, honey. The world. Black women are not set on trying to destroy we're trying to destroy the systems for sure, okay? Black women are upset because we want people to be treated well. We want people to be loved. We want justice. We want righteousness. We want equity. We want love and care. That's why Black women are angry. That's why Black women want a fair shot. But that's why I'm just like so inspired by all the Black women that I follow, right, on my journey. Here's a prime example. Dr. Kimani. Dr. Kimani has a channel. Dr. Kimani is on mission, and Marissa Price are on mission to, and also other Black women, by the way, are on mission to save Black women from toxic jobs because of the harm that they've experienced on their job. So this is what I mean, right? That anger that they talk about, the being unseen, the being forgot about or used or exploited, or, you know, they talk about coming in and how they use you as a diversity hire, but actually we don't care about your ideas. You're just here to fill a placement, right? That feeling is hurtful and harmful, and it inspires anger and rage. And what have these women done with it? They're putting on a whole summit to help Black women get free from toxic jobs, start their own jobs, be inspired by other Black women who got free, who are healing, right? Like, that's what I mean. Using anger as medicine. And not just for yourself, but for other people. That's what Black women have the power to do. And it's beautiful to witness, because Black women can be healing their own stuff, going through their own stuff. And one thing they're going to do is bring Black women with them. That's one thing Black women will do, right? And I don't know if it's like the best thing, but we all we got. We know that. And so when we are awakened to an idea, we share it. Like just like this video, I'm sharing with you, hoping that you will befriend your anger and not despise her anymore, not be enemies with her anymore, not see yourself as less than anymore, because some person who is out of touch with their own humanity calls you unhuman, like calls you anything but human for being angry, anything but holy, anything but sacred, right? So that is the power of our anger. The power of Black women's rage. It's amazing. So yes, you want a Black woman to be loving and kind and generous. You don't get any of that without rage or anger. You don't get to cut Black women in half and tell them what parts of them are holy and sacred and what parts are not. All of them is holy and sacred. All of them was given to them to be used for love, for medicine, for care, to bring righteousness to this world. Like, you don't get to have it your way. Like, women are not here to be fashioned into ways that you want them to be. Women are here to be powerful and to be purely and wholly themselves, not who you think they should be. They come already fit with who they are. We learn to hate ourselves. We learn to disrespect ourselves. We learn to distrust ourselves and even our anger, right? We learn to make enemies of parts of ourselves and wonder why we feel so fragmented and broken off, right? Because other people have taught us to hate those parts of ourselves. But what if we actually encouraged those parts of ourselves? If we sat and just listened to our anger, what would your anger say? What would your anger say? Would your anger say, I am so sorry that those people keep harming you, and I hate that they keep harming you. Please use me. Let me fight for you. What is your anger saying? I'm so tired of people being mistreated and not caring about people being mistreated. Let me give you words. Use me for your voice. Use me in your music. Use me in your art. Use me as fuel to tell the truth. Like, what is your anger? Sit with your anger today for a second. Anger, what do you... I'm sorry that I have dismissed you and have ruled you as unholy and as not sacred and fearful. I'm sorry that I have rendered you like unnecessary. I am so sorry. Talk to me. What are you trying to tell me? What do you need to say? What do you need to say? Yeah. Yeah, they want us to be ashamed of our passion and rage. They want us to be ashamed. We have nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. Nothing. So again, why don't they want Black women to feel rage? Because they know we're powerful. We're going to change some stuff. We're change makers, right? They're guilty. A lot of people don't want to hear about your anger because they feel guilty. It could be that simple, right? Or they're being complicit in something happening. It's to be Marissa uses this phrase, a truth teller. To be a truth teller and to be someone who stands up for people who are either too afraid to stand up or people who don't value, like standing up for people who other people don't value, right? It's going to cost you. People will fight you. People will drag you down because people are more comfortable with their complacency than they are with justice and change, because it would inspire them to make change. People are comfortable. People are comfortable not caring and being apathetic. So you bringing any attention to true issues, like, it's going to bring people to you to try to shut you down. It's because some people feel guilty. Some people feel like they were complicit. They know we'll burn this whole thing down. They want the system to keep going. We want to destroy it and build something better. Okay? So they're going to protect it and ridicule you and use the names and, you know what I'm saying, like whistleblow and all these different things that are very cowardly. Like, passive aggression is so cowardly. Passive aggression is so cowardly. Underhanded things, backhanded compliments, so cowardly. Say it with your whole chest. Say what you mean, but you can't say what you mean to say, because then I got you. So you have to create these illusions. Like, the culture we live in creates like these twisted and like augmented and like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, manipulated realities that are not real, but that they're having us live in to make them comfortable. We know that another world is possible. Shout out to Trisha Hersey, right? We know that another world is possible. Another reality is possible, but they don't want us to dream. They don't want us to create. They don't want us to speak out, because they know that we'll burn all this down and make it harder for them, because they then have to be just and kind and thoughtful. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. We'll touch rage. The reason why they don't want us to befriend our rage is because they know that we will touch rage and remember the pain that we tried to forget. There's a lot of suppressing that we do as Black women to get along, because in order to survive, sometimes we have to. Sometimes when we really face and confront all the things, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's too much. It's too much. And so we're just trying to get along. So they know that if we touch rage, the rage that we're taught to forget, the rage that we learn to push to the side and ignore and to not see, if we touch that rage, we'll be activated. We will remember. We will literally remember ourselves, put ourselves back together. And that can be a very intense experience, right? But I think that it's a very necessary one. It's a very necessary one because it reminds us, again, of what we forgot. That medicine, that goodness, that love, that justice. We've been walking around in halves and fractions, trying to be seen as respectable, trying to be seen as human to people who don't want to see us as human, who don't want to see us as enough. Our efforts should be put elsewhere, building our own thing where we don't have to depend on living in a fantasy world. And their fantasy, like, literally is destruction and death. That's their fantasy. That's their fantasy. When we know that our fantasy, if we have unlearned and are unlearning, like white supremacist culture, if we're unlearning, competition and like the dog eat dog world ethics of society, of the society we live in, we know that the world that we want to create is beautiful and just and harmonious and healthy and vibrant, where everybody gets to thrive, where everybody deserves a chance. You feel me? Like, but they don't want that. They want it for them. So they want us to buy into their narrative and their limitations, their perceived limitations, their created limitations, because there are no limitations. They just create limitations. They create scarcity. They create the idea that things are scarce when they are not. They are, in fact, abundant. Abundant. And also they've dehumanized us, right? Like, Black women aren't allowed to be angry because we weren't seen as people. Our introduction to this country was not a humane one, right? Our black bodies, for those of who have enslaved ancestors like myself, like our black bodies were seen as tools, not people. They were seen as tools. They were seen as vessels to be used to bring forth somebody else's idea or somebody else's wealth, right? Or well-being. Like the bodies that created my body were never seen as a human. So for us to have emotions, for some of them, this sounds wild, but for us to have emotions to some of those people, like it's like mind blowing to them. Like, what? You got feelings? I thought you liked this. Because we're living under subjection and like, oh, that's just the way of the world. That's just how things are. It's interesting. People's minds are interesting. My rage is medicine. Your rage is medicine. Your rage is medicine. It inspires healing from a sick world, right? And we have benefited from other people's rage. Like I talked about earlier, all the acts, like all the civil rights protests, like we have benefited from other people's rage. Sister Outsider, I've benefited from this book and I've benefited from Audre Lorde's rage. And I cannot wait to read her words about rage because I felt this way. And to me, Audre Lorde is an elder to me. Like she is somebody that I look up to. She's no longer here. But with her writings, I feel like I'm being mentored, right? Because she's giving me language for what I've always felt, but she's so eloquent. And basically like there are uses for rage. When I read that essay, I felt seen. I felt like somebody gets what I've been trying to say. I mean, granted, she wrote this like a long time ago. I'm benefiting from her rage from this book. I'm benefiting from her sorrow, her experiences in life. I'm benefiting from Bell Hooks' experiences in life. I'm benefiting from like so many, I'm looking at all these authors that I have on my bookshelf. Like so many of these people wrote books because of their discomfort, because of their sorrow, to reach back to help other people like me, people they will never meet, right? Like we've benefited from other people's rage, right? Writers and revolutionaries, radicals went off, the Angela Davises, the Gil Scott Herons, right? Like those are the people that we look up to, and the Malcolm X's that we wear on t-shirts and all these other things, but we don't honor their rage. Martin Luther King is somebody that I hate seeing used in media because we always paint him as like this docile and peaceful. No, Martin was angry. When Martin passed, his heart had aged past the age that he was. He had a lot going on, right? There are some things, but let's stay focused, right? Like the majority culture paints him in a way that is so dehumanizing because it takes away his rage, and his image and his likeness is being used to try to keep Black folks in check. But we benefit from the revolutionaries and the radicals, the people who were brave enough to express their rage. Some of them died from their rage, from the work inspired from their rage, right? People that we benefit from even today. And I'm forever grateful for them. And I use them as permission slips. I use them as a model. I use them as a mentor. This is what happens when you put your rage to good use. These are the beautiful things that could happen when you honor your rage and your anger. This is what is possible. Like, this is what can happen. Like, this is the beautiful thing about rage. Like, these are the people that I'm looking up to, and we should be looking up to. Again, like a lot of nonprofits in the area, like I live in the DMV area, a lot of nonprofits are started from seeing people being treated like unfairly, seeing people being unhoused, seeing people not having access to fresh food, right? Like these things should make you angry. That systems are set in place to literally cause harm and destruction to people. It should make all of us upset, and we should all be doing something to try to make it better. Something. Or linking up with someone else who is doing it, right? Adding our fire as fuel to their mission, adding our fire. Even if you don't want to be on the front lines, can you donate money to that person on the front line? You feel me? Like, can you send them an encouraging word and being like, I see you and I'm scared to speak out, but I'm so grateful for you. Please don't stop doing. Like, people need to hear that, because all day long they're being told their anger is disgusting, it's sinful, it's inconvenient, that they themselves, their whole being doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everybody gets to be angry and fight for their thing except for Black women specifically. I was going to say Black folks, but Black women specifically. Like, because I even had to pause about that. Because even within the Black community, Black men still don't see Black women as human. So a lot of times we're just out here on our own. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, Anywho, they want us to be ashamed of our passion and rage and lull us into complacency and apathy and respectability. They want us to prioritize their respectability politics above our own humanity, above our own lives. They want us to bury ourselves in that fire. They want us to shut up. They want that fire to consume us so they can stop hearing our voices and our complaints and our frustrations. Rage is the beginning of hope. Rage is love. Rage is kindness. Rage is care. If we were paying attention, we'd all be angry. If we cared, we would all be angry. If we loved, we would all be angry about something. Maybe you're not angry about everything. Maybe it's too much to be angry about everything. But all of us are upset or angry about something. And all of us have something that we're angry about that we have swallowed and pretended that it's not there. For the comfort of other people, for the sake of our own sanity and well-being, right? Like for the sake of not wanting to be perceived as an angry Black woman, because we're so afraid of that title, we will pretend to be okay with things we're not okay with. We will receive service that is subpar because we're afraid to speak up. We will not get the pay that we want because we're afraid of being blackballed or even like a raise, right? We're afraid of being dismissed and being seen as difficult and therefore being put on the list to be like bullied out of our jobs. We're afraid of our anger because when we share our anger, it is met with some sort of like repercussion. It's met with some sort of like dehumanizing act, ridicule, right? Embarrassment. But it is the beginning of hope and humanity. Like maybe you're not wrong. Maybe you're not losing it. Maybe we all need to lose it. Maybe we all need to, like, there's a lot of suppressing I feel like the human race does to pretend that we're okay. There's a lot like when I think of like the human brain and how it wants to protect us, there's a lot of protecting our brain, a lot of shielding our brain is doing. Nope. Too much. What if we lifted that? Yo, what might be birthed from that? What art might be created? What changes might be made in the world? What love might be shared? These are the things I dream of and hope for. We try so hard to avoid anger as Black women, but we all need an angry stage. Black women need an angry stage. Black women need a chance to lose it. We need to go to a rage room. We need to go to the woods to shout and cry and scream. We need to break some stuff up, punch some pillows. We need to express our anger and our rage. Every Black woman needs an angry phase. Every single one. And I feel like when we reach that angry phase, sometimes like that fire that I talked about, the fire of our rage burns up anything that is not pure. That fire and rage burns up anything that is fake and false. And then now you have a more purified version of yourself because you've been through the fire. And you are now in touch with your soul and who you are and what you expect. What are the standards, right? Like you're a whole new person. Every Black woman deserves an angry phase. And it's not just because of that, right? It's also because if we don't have an angry phase or an angry stage, we could die. We're talking high blood pressure. We're talking diabetes. We're talking high cholesterol, right? We're talking mental illness. We're talking fibroids, right? We're talking stress-induced illnesses and diseases in our bodies because we refuse to acknowledge the anger that is trying to keep us safe. That anger that you feel at your job is not the anger to swallow and pretend it's not there. That anger is the inspiration to either fight for equality at your job if you have the capacity or find someplace else to go. Or not give them your all, something in between, right? Whatever you decide. That's what your anger and rage is there for, not for you to keep swallowing it every day, feeding yourself poison and fire every day, thinking you're not going to get burned. Like there are psychological ramifications for swallowing anger too. Depression, anxiety. And again, I'm going to put Marissa's video about Black girl depression below because it's really informative, really eye-opening, and really important for Black women to understand how their mind, their psyche, their things work. Like it's not a one size fit all. We have a different understanding and background than a lot of people here in this country. And so things show up differently and they should be honored and cared for. Yes. So holding in that anger and rage is harmful. That's my point. It's harmful. You get depression, anxiety, right? Emotions that turn into bodily pain or physical pain, right? I know people who have autoimmune diseases because of stress in their life. I know people whose lives are completely changed forever because of the stress in their life. Like your anger, you have to You have to, in order I want you to. I want you to process your anger because I don't want you to die. I don't want you to get sick before you realize, oh, I need to get myself together. Something's not right. You don't have to die angry. Like, you don't have to die because you were at war with your anger. Right? You don't have to become ill because you refuse to listen to the anger that is trying to save you. I don't want that to be your fate. I don't want that to be your fate. And I'm gonna include a Psychology Today article below as well. It goes more in depth about like the effects of holding in our anger and what that can do to our minds and our bodies and our souls and our spirits. Your anger is not a vile thing. Your anger is an appropriate response to injustice, to people being uncaring or unkind or dismissive, disruptive, or disruptive in a bad way, like not progressive, right? Like ruining progress, like being dehumanizing, being mean and evil. Like, your anger is not the vile thing. The vile thing is the thing that caused your anger. Like, that is the thing that is wrong, right? Or how you understand something that's happening. So like, or even like reminding you of things that happened in your past and your anger not wanting that to happen to you again. Like, your anger is not the enemy. The enemy is the thing that caused the anger in the first place. And so, like I said earlier, a lot of people call on Black women's anger when it's convenient for them. They'll be like, how come Black people haven't spoken out on X, Y, and Z? Where are the Black women at? Oh, Black women have to save the day again. So we're allowed to use our anger for you, for your benefit. But Black women are never allowed to use their anger for themselves because Black women are never seen as themselves. Black women are never allowed to belong to themselves. They are only seen as a tool. And that is another way that Black women are being used as tools. Their anger is not held as sacred. Their anger is not held as something that is beautiful and like holy. Their anger is something that people tap into, something that people take from, right, to push forth their issues and their problems. But Black women are always seen like, oh, we'll get to that in a second. Just wait, right? So we put everybody else's issues in front of ours and we get buried underneath. I'm going to say this, even with the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Feel however you want to feel about the movement. The intention behind it, I support. Not a lot of Black women got the same amount of attention and care and consideration, nor justice. And so even Black women using their fire and their rage for Black men and their well-being, you still go online today and you see Black men spitting on Black women because they never saw us as holy and sacred. So Black women are still being exploited for the beautiful things that they bring into the world, including their anger, that they want us to feel bad about having. Why are you angry? Go deep. Ask why. I keep saying this. Ask why at least 7 times. Okay, let's see. Somebody cuts me off in traffic. Why am I angry about that? That person could have got me into an accident. They put my life in danger because they want to get to where they're going fast enough. Why am I upset about that? Because they think that I am an NPC. They think that I don't have places to be either, right? They're not taking into consideration my life, my time, like my safety. Why am I upset about that? Because that means that you don't see me as human. I feel dehumanized. I feel disrespected. I feel like you don't care about my sacred life, right? Or I can also be upset that we live in a society where people feel like they have to rush to work because if they don't get to work on time, they might get fired. So they can risk their lives and lives of other people trying to get to work on time because they're scared their boss is going to fire them for being 5 minutes late, for being human, right? Like, so there are layers to our anger. We just have to reach down and listen to them and take note and figure, okay, what can I do? Maybe I can't do anything about that person cutting me off, right? But I can breathe. I can acknowledge that was an act of harm. I'm not going to gaslight myself. I'm not going to tell myself to get over it. I'm going to feel my feelings and be pissed off and process it and get to the heart, right? And then I'm going to refill my well. I'm going to get around people who do make me feel seen, who do allow me to be human, who do allow me to vent, right? I might cry. I'm going to do whatever I need to do, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm not angry just to get along, just to be the bigger person, just to be a good Christian, whatever you want to, whatever people are, saying, to be respectful. And that person didn't respect me. I'm not chasing him down. I'm not shooting their person's tires. I'm not cussing them out, right? But I'm upset. And I'm allowed to be upset. And you're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be angry. Like I said, anger is an appropriate response to harm, injustice, lies, theft, unkindness, all of it. Your anger is not wrong. Sorry, plant. Mwah. Your anger is not wrong. Your anger is not wrong. Your anger is alerting you to something else that is wrong. Black women are always pressured to be nice and respectable and pleasant and not intimidating. And so we play this patriarchal game of like, I am just a docile woman. I am not a threat to you, or what, like we do all this playing around whole time that your inner you was like, girl, I'm pissed. Stop playing with me. You know, so like our anger is looking at us like, tell me how this is working out for you. Tell me if this is getting you what you want and what you need. Being respectable.